To episode 26 of Growth Talk. I'm here with, do you say Grace or Gracie? I notice it's Grace in your name.
I go by both. Everyone chooses different in my life. It's what whatever you wanted. Yeah.
Okay, you don't have a preference.
No. Mm-mm.
All right. Well, I've called you Gracie this whole time, so maybe that's
Okay.
the. So Gracie is our first ISTJ or SITE on the podcast now, and yeah, we're going to talk about the normal growth stuff. See how OP has helped, where she's come along in her life, how her functions have shown up, and then yeah, whatever topic we happen to channel change onto, I guess. So I just to get a feel for the type, or maybe some people that are not familiar with it or trying to figure out for themselves. What are some things that stick out to you about your specific type, or what pops out? You don't have to give like a whole description if you don't want, or a nutshell description. What do you think of when you think of your type?
Yeah. This is gonna be mean to myself and my close people that are close to my type, but I had always seen ISTJs as like basic, but kind of in a good way. Like all of us are like trying to be good at it, and I thought they were the only ones succeeding essentially. But it's that determination to have certainty in your life. I think that's the big one. If you can watch yourself during the day and it's like the choices you're making are just so that you can feel better about that things are like settled and
Sure. Mm-hmm.
everything. But yeah, I let's see. I made a list here. Yeah, it's like, so if you can give me direction, if you can give me instructions, and I can do the thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
the figuring it out on my own part that's difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're good at the implementing the thing that needs to be done, but not necessarily coming up with what it is. So you're like okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, you need both. It's like the yin and the yang, right? You have some people
Right.
who are good at coming up with a thing, but then you ask them to do it, they're like, oh, I don't know about that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've also gotten told, like, growing up that my first impression with some people was snooty, but then they got to know
Oh,
me and they're like, oh, you're not that way. I don't know if it's just like my resting face or something.
okay. Like maybe being sleepy, I guess. I don't know. I wonder what
Could
would cause
could
that.
be the sleepiness. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So vanilla, I thought about that. Vanilla is like a good way to, and
Okay.
people like vanilla. That's what people have with pie and cake for a
That's
reason.
true. Vanilla is often a pick that everyone, nobody like hates vanilla. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. So do you also feel like on the inside, do you also feel vanilla, or do you feel like that's just how you kind of come off for the most part? Because to be honest, I don't think anyone's vanilla. I think
Yeah.
people come off maybe vanilla, but I feel like everyone on the inside is maybe something. But anyway, my theory. But what
It's
do you?
weird because most of my life I've been determined to be normal. I did not feel normal, and
Mhm.
like it's a hang up of mine. So maybe ISTJs just have that desire to want to be normal or something,
Yeah.
and that's why we end up how we are. But um, yeah, but I mean, I thought I was an INFP, which is not, that's like the flower child, not
Mm.
normal feeling sort of thing. Um, what was the question?
Oh, don't ask me that.
Oh no.
The question. Oh yeah, do you feel like vanilla on the inside?
Oh yeah, I feel overly complicated. I wish I was less complicated. That's how I
Okay.
feel.
Okay. I think yeah, and I guess in a sense there is kind of security in being more vanilla, at least on the outside, right? And I think there's also a humility in it too, especially coming from an IP perspective, because you're doing your best not to be vanilla, but when you're like wanting to be vanilla. I feel like there's like a humility in that, which is pretty cool. At least that's what it looks like too.
Yeah,
IT,
well,
I guess,
yeah.
right?
I don't want the attention, right? Despite
Mhm.
having FI, as in my sleep as a savior, the example I always give is I like hats, but I don't wear them because I feel like not enough people wear them, and so I would stick out, and people would be like,
Okay.
"Oh, look at the girl in the hat." And like, no, don't look at me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can understand that to a degree. I think. Yeah. I also. Well, it's like I want to wear what I like and what I want, but if it's like if it's gonna draw attention to me, then it's like I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe from like a decider point of view, it's like, well, if they look at me a lot, they might find something to judge me. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know if it's I don't know that it is a judgment. I had assumed it was, but the more I think about it, I don't think it is. It's just I just don't want the attention.
Sure.
Hmm.
So what are the positive things about your type? I feel like most of these are a little negative. Do you have some things that like you're like maybe proud of or you think is really good about your type?
Yeah. I mean, kind of what I said about, like, if you point me, I feel like a tool. uh, you know, in that if you point me in a certain direction, I'll do the thing. Like this Christmas, we had some weirdness with one of our strings of lights, and I was, having a mini observer freak out because it wasn't turning on, and so Eric he like took over, double masculine, and just told me what to do, and he would tell me to do the thing, and then it kept going like that. And I'm like, this is so much more relaxing than me having to be like, okay, what do I do next? Because like Dave has a video I think about this where it's like SI, if you want to have a plan, but if you don't know one of them, it's missing, then you get stuck. So here I go going negative again, but shoot. I mean, I think we're good friends. So like my friends, they tend to ask me for advice a lot on like decider issues and stuff. And I've talked to other Blast Sleep plays, and they apparently have the same thing going on. So maybe not so much an ISTJ thing, but yeah, just like, and I never understood why this kept happening, but people seem to think I'm good at figuring out what the right thing to do is. The whole judging thing, like that there's a positive side to that, of being able to really figure out what's the best move with people's stuff. Because like the whole feminine TE thing, you just want to, like, hey, if you'll just tell me what it is that you want, then I can do something. But missing information, if you're not telling me, then I feel like I can't do anything about it.
Right.
And some people will freak out and not give you information because they're afraid of your reaction.
That might be why people come to you, right? Maybe you have a vibe of like, I know she's not going to react negatively to me asking her for advice, or she's going to do it in a way that's kind, or it's thorough or profound, or anything like that.
And I've had people like, I've been friends with for a long time, and they'll come to me like, if you don't want to be my friend anymore, I understand, but they felt like they needed to tell me something. I'm like, why would I not be your friend? Like, first of all, you're admitting to whatever this bad thing is, so clearly you feel bad about it and you want to fix it. And like,
Which says a lot, yeah.
I'm like, why do you think I'm gonna ditch you? Yeah, so loyal to a fault, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not afraid of the people, and that can be an issue. And so like my husband is a decider, and he'll be like, I don't know about this friend of yours. I'm like, and so I just sit there double deciding, and he's like, yeah, but so it's funny.
Yeah. So I think my dad is, or no, I know my dad's lead. If there's a poster boy for lead SI, it's my dad. I don't know what his deciders are necessarily. He could be an ISTJ. I'm not sure. But I found with him, it's kind of similar to what you described with, like, just tell me the plan, tell me what we're doing. I'll get it done easy. That's the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that it's the same thing with my dad, definitely. But also, like with instructions, man, I see him get so frustrated because if they leave anything out of that, and he's like, "What the hell am I supposed to do here?" And like, he gets so mad, he gets super ragey. It's kind of funny to watch, but you really have to like have it like that. But I noticed that when like my dad will do something, whether it's like work on like his car or fix a computer or anything, he does it so like methodically.
Mm.
Like there's no rush in anything. Everything gets laid out beforehand. Everything's done sort of perfectly. Like it's, or when he's even building something, it's so crazy how like precise and patient he is
Mm.
throughout that whole process. Me, when I'm trying to build, so I'm slapping stuff together. I'm like forcing things. I get done. There's like 3 parts laying over there for some reason that I just completely missed. It's so bad. But man, there's just some the way his brain works, he can just really do all of that stuff so perfectly. And for me, you wouldn't even think I'm ST with the how horrible I am with all of that stuff. So I think that was always a really cool thing where like, he was always really good at that.
Mm.
And like you said, also very loyal, like probably the most loyal person and probably honest person I think I've ever met. I don't think my dad's literally never lied to me about anything in my entire life, like not once, which I don't think many parents can say that, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
if he is an ISTJ, if he's not an SI, I will just give up OP, but the rest of this time we'll see. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I found out my mom was SI, and that was I'm still processing, but it's funny because she's masculine SI and I'm feminine SI, but
Quite different maybe, yeah.
she doesn't seem confident in the sensory world. She's sleep first, so maybe that makes a difference. But yeah, it's so I've had to really be like, okay, what does being SI actually mean? What does being masculine versus feminine actually mean? And it's not like it's not just like you can figure it. It's all connected, right? So her type affects how her SI comes across. Like she's
Mhm.
not as worried about checking the tribe about what they're gonna think about it. Like if it's TI, it works. I mean, you tell me, like if it works for her, then she's good, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, when I'm trying to fix something, I'm always worried about, oh, will Eric think this is a good fix? Will he dislike this variable or whatever,
I wouldn't
And
even consider that. Sadly.
yeah. And it was crazy to me. And like that's the biggest difference between my type and her type. And
Mhm.
so that's the thing that we butt heads on. Um, but that's really, it's, I'm glad I have words for it now. Cause cause she'd just be like, why does it matter if there's a better way to do that if it's working for me? I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean,
It'd be nice if it worked for other people too. I don't
yeah.
know. So do you feel like you were, I guess it sounds like you were maybe surprised at the type she got? Do you feel like, do you get the sense that you and your mom are similar types, or does it really feel like y'all are just quite different personality wise?
Um, so I don't have any siblings. So the people I compared myself to were my parents.
Okay.
And, so you watch your parents do things and you like cringe sometimes because you're watching the people around you, their lives and how it pans out. And so I'd be like, mom did this and this happened and that wasn't good. So I'm going to try to avoid that. So a lot of my strategy in life has been avoiding being like mom. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
And so the idea of us being similar, it does and doesn't make sense because I guess I looked at it and understood, oh, without understanding that I did understand. It's like, okay, I could do that, but maybe I shouldn't, right? Um, a lot of consume last stuff, right? And
Mhm.
because we both consume last, and I think that has helped me avoid some consume last tidal waves that I might have had otherwise. Um, but yeah, so I realized that the difference between me and mom is her SI and my SI are totally different things. And that has been like the issue in our relationship is we don't like the same stuff. And so we don't
Oh,
really have things to connect on. And
Mm.
I was telling someone the other day, so like she went the biology route, I went the psychology route. So we both think our version is the answer to fixing things in the world. She went like micro, I went macro kind of. And so we'll try to convince each other, and it never works. But I started to catch myself. I never had anything as like really granular as my mom's stuff until I got into OPS, and then I suddenly started to catch myself saying a lot of the same things she does just about
Oh.
OPS. And I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. This is dangerous. So yeah, it's been a realization over the last year or whatever of okay, we're similar, we've just gone down different paths, and she is DI versus DE, and that does make a difference, you know. And TI, the TIFE is so different. I think that's like, you know, I think if she'd been SIFI instead of SITI, I still think it would have been a little bit better. But I do agree with the theory that like relationship wise, it's a good thing to be on the same TNF spectrum, because Eric and I are.
Definitely, yeah.
And you know, we are different with the SC and SI thing, but we communicate very effectively most of the time.
I
So
think that's like the ideal combination, I think, right? Like you have a decider, DI, and you have a double decider, DE, and on the same axis and stuff for that. It seems like
yeah, I mean,
the ideal kind of,
yeah, we don't annoy each other. And I think, you know, the modalities, and being double masculine and me being double feminine, we're the stereotypical girl and guy. And so like we
okay.
don't and it sucks for other people, because like I feel bad for my friends that are like, you know, double masculine girls, and they feel weird, and it's like I don't have that experience, because I'm just kind of what people would say, oh, that's what a girl should be, you know.
Mhm.
Not that I, you know, I have insecurities, don't get me wrong. But yeah, so we just don't step on each other's toes, you know. But we also understand each other. You know, he can make sensory arguments for things, and that works. But I mean, in theory, mom would make sensory arguments, but
They'd be from her TI maybe, so it'd be a little
yeah,
strange.
yeah. She'll try to FE a situation, and I just like, I get all like shut up, like, why are you trying to pull out my emotions? Stop that, you know? These are mine. Back off.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I had a question actually, but now it's gone. Oh man, Demon and I. Oh well, we'll cut to the next question. So I guess we kind of talked about it a little bit already, but oh, my window disappeared. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. So how were you when you were young? Do you feel like you had kind of the SITE vibe back then? Do you feel like you fell into the stereotype at all, or yeah, what were you like when you were young, would you say?
Yeah, so having feminine saviors, I think I always felt that I was bad at my saviors. Not again, not that I had the words for it. You know, I did theater in elementary school, but I got really insecure because my teacher would say I wasn't talking loud enough. Yeah, and so I early on decided I'm not good at that sort of thing. And I don't know, I've always had, and I know that this is a stereotype, but um I've always kind of liked organizing things. Like I was the person in the house that would like take everything out of the bathroom and put it back better, but I no one really taught me to clean well. So like when I was little, I just like pile things into little stacks and try to make them look nice.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? There weren't things, there weren't places for things in my room. Yeah. So I had too much stuff, but my parents were nice. They didn't make me get rid of anything really. Just whenever stuff broke. Yeah, I do think I was kind of blasty. Those are the moments that people would get more annoyed with me. And like that's the thing, right? Is if you're a double feminine blaster, when you in those moments when you do come off as a blaster, then people are suddenly like, "Whoa, where'd that come from?"
Mm-hmm.
Because I like with typing, I think a lot of people have said it can be hard to catch double feminine blast because it doesn't seem as pushy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people assume blasting is pushy. But I'm trying to be like, hey, maybe this would be a good idea if you think
Like yeah, I'm the same way.
like maybe we should
Well,
probably
yeah.
do this thing.
Hey, I think it might be a good idea. Yeah, you don't have to, but maybe if you do that.
Exactly.
I'm saying it in a very feminine way, but on the inside, I'm like, this is you better do that. Where does it come off that way? Oh yeah. So you have that as a savior as well. So it's like, I guess that would mean you're doing that a lot, but still doing it in a very like not pushy way, I guess. Or no. Either I'm disconnected or you're disconnected. Okay, let's look at the chat. Hey, Jana, good to see you. Who's there? How you doing, my man? My dad who is Gracie's almost type twin, has the same glasses. It's like the ISTJ glasses. Okay, so she's the one that's frozen. Y'all can hear me. Okay. Yeah, she's been having some internet issues, so this could happen potentially a couple times. But yeah, oh, there she goes. All right. Well, how are y'all doing, chat? I'm actually almost finished with the series. I think this is 26, so maybe 6 or 7 more. And then I think we have all the types at that point. I want to say. Then off to bigger and better things. I don't know what those things are just yet, but it'll probably be something. Is she frozen or is it SI? She has organized the sensory to where it is unmovable. So yeah, 1 second. I think I have everyone lined up for the next. Actually, I do not. Do y'all know any SITIs actually? I don't think I actually know any in the community. I'm wondering who would be a good guest on here. Do you have any ideas? Or SETI. I've asked a couple, but it seems like they're very shy about coming on the show, so I haven't had a lot of luck there either. Thank you, Uzair. I appreciate it. There are some, but they aren't active. Oh, man. They are definitely rare, aren't they? I wonder why that is. All right. Hey, welcome back.
Sorry.
Internet go out again.
We had a huge storm yesterday, and I think there's problems from that or something.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Yeah, the whole thing in America where the power lines are outside.
Oh.
In other countries, they're underground. Isn't that crazy? It seems like a good idea. I don't know why we don't do that.
Sounds like a better plan, yeah.
Yeah. We don't have power outages here. We don't really have that many storms either, so I guess it's... I'm in Germany, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
The power setup's definitely different. But I definitely missed the storms back home in Texas. We had crazy thunderstorms. So we never have those here.
I'm in Texas.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm from Dallas originally.
I'm from Dallas.
What? Do you know where the
part
colony
of Dallas?
is?
Huh?
Do you know where the colony is?
Vaguely.
It's like it's right next to Frisco, kind of near Plano.
Oh, that's a nice area.
Yeah, it's getting nice now. It wasn't when I grew up there, but now it's like, I went back and it's like, what the hell is going on here? It's so packed. All of the rent went way up, even on like the shitty parts of the city I'm from. I was like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Things have changed. It's a growing area. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty soon they're gonna like actually maybe have legit public transit in Texas. Like, like maybe even a subway. Well, I guess I can't do subways.
A girl can dream, yeah.
Would be nice, right? Because man, traffic's gonna get nuts.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Texas thunderstorms, you know what I'm talking about. They're super crazy. And yeah, definitely miss those.
I get it though. Yeah.
I think I haven't witnessed anything like that in any other country.
Really?
Like it'll be 3 p.m. The sky goes completely black, and there's like lightning every like 3 seconds, and then you get hit in the face by like an ice ball. It's just hailing everywhere. Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, my mom ran out in a hailstorm to get a sample, and I'm like, no.
Oh. You'll die. Come back. They're basketball size this time.
That's why she's going out there, because they were huge. I'm like, can't you just wait? Like,
oh man, they'll melt. No, man, yeah, it just destroys your car. It's like,
yeah, for real.
you know, Texas isn't doing its demons. That's why, right? It doesn't rain enough. Doesn't get cold enough. So one day it just, you know, it's having its tidal.
Yeah. I'm in Houston now, and it rains enough here, at least it used to. This last year was more of a drought, but
Houston's pretty humid. I was
yes.
like,
I thought Dallas was humid. No, not comparatively. It's tropical down here. It just is.
y'all got palm trees.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay. I didn't know we had palm trees here in Texas, but
Further south you go, the more palm trees there are. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So, hey, sorry. What were we? We're talking about Texas for 2 hours.
I don't.
Okay. So,
don't forget the spirit animal question.
Thank you. I think I might do that at the end. That might be like a good ending question. So yeah, remind me at the end. Did you have any like so yeah, it seemed like you were aware of your saviors, I guess, as a kid, but they were feminine, so it also feels like they weren't necessarily like your strong parts of yourself, I guess. How did you feel about your demons, or did you have an inkling that those parts of yourselves were a little more difficult?
Yeah, I like to say that I felt like I was a super anxious INFP, right? Because they're my demons, but like that's kind of what I identified with. I just thought I was terrible at life or something, but you know, like for some reason I got it in my head I wasn't allowed to be an ST person.
Oh, okay.
Like that it wasn't valuable, that it wasn't respected or appreciated. I don't know.
Is it like a gender thing? Do you feel like that's not like an appropriate thing for that gender somehow? Or
maybe, but I mean, I know part of it was the church I grew up going to was super NF, like super NF, and so I always felt super out of place and incapable, and it was all just weird to me, and I didn't like it. But my parents were happy. Yeah, I don't know. It was like the whole FE thing. Like everyone would decide at church, we're all going to be in a certain feeling or vibe or whatever. And I'm like, but that's not how I'm feeling. So why would I lie? You know?
right.
So yeah, a lot of the woo woo stuff I just essentially rejected, and that made me not fit in as well, I think. So yeah, it's been interesting learning OP to be like, oh, okay, so there is validity in the NF stuff, and I'm trying to like process that, like, okay, but how, in what way, like where is it, like what do I
You and me both. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we're both NF last, aren't we? Yeah, we're both NF. Yeah, same. I'm like, what is like, okay, so what does it do?
Yeah.
What is the purpose?
Yeah. No, and people have made fun of me like, dude, you're just trying to get me to ST and F. I can't do that for you. That's not what it is. Like,
right. Yeah. I tried to ST it a little bit, or at least like figure out like, hey, what is it like what is it for? I think so for me, a lot of the really woo stuff just feels like, yeah, this is ridiculous. But I think like the appeal is not that it like ST works or ST makes sense. And I think the people that are following it are not following it because there's like a ST or something that comes from it. But it does like move your emotions in a certain way. that it can feel like it's solving, or maybe it is, like, you know what I mean? So I think it's there to actually, it's more of like changing your own vibe by all this crystals and all this crazy stuff. Crystals don't do anything, but if you're being in this sort of NF sphere, I guess, it does affect you in a way that probably is pretty positive, even if it's not ST really doing anything. So that, I think that that's my read on the NF stuff, or at least like when we were talking about like woo-woo NF. There's other NFs, but yeah. I don't know. Does that make any sense? Oh, you're frozen again. No. Oh, and she's gone. Okay. Like I said before, it's going to happen a couple times, and but you know, it is what it is. What's up, Habib? How you doing, man? Saving the best for last, my man. Yeah, somehow like I want to ask that question first because I always forget it, but then it's always like, "Hey, welcome to Growth Talk. What's your spirit animal?" I don't know. It feels weird somehow. But yeah. So anyway, you guys want to hear about my day? Probably not, but it is kind of funny. So our coffee machine broke down. Oh wait, no, she's back. Okay, you don't have to hear about my coffee machine now. Hi again.
Hi.
Oh man.
You were saying that you trying to figure out how NF works.
Oh yeah, where did I lose you at? Actually.
You said something about it's not like it doesn't work or something like that.
Yeah, kind of. So like the NF, like when, and there's a lot of different NFs, right? But like the stereotypical NF, the woo-woo stuff, the crystals, the chakras, all that stuff. So I think like where the STs are getting it wrong, I think, is that where, well, thinking it's supposed to work in like an ST way. Like when we talk about chakras and we talk about like it's supposed to actually, there's a frequency stuff, even though they try to add ST to it, we know it's BS, but the point of it is not the ST functionality of it.
Yeah.
The point is the vibe of it and how it affects your vibe or how it makes you feel, I guess, in a way, right? So if you're in this hippy dippy thing, we're talking about crystals and vibrations and manifesting and all that stuff. If you really go into it, you do kind of feel good and you feel more positive and you feel more confident about what you're doing. So it's like, in a way, it's like, I feel like it does kind of energize you in a bit if you can ignore the fact that it's wrong, I guess. But anyway, that's my take.
Yeah. I mean, it's like positive mindset and like there's benefit to that, but it only gets you so far, right? Like you can't.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's somebody who says this, but you can't like positive mindset your way out of cancer. You know, it's like it can maybe help you a little, but it's not, you know. So, but there's validity in it, and yeah, that's a really, I like how you put that. Yeah, that's not it. Yeah, we're just like so focused on ST working that it doesn't. But that's not like the point. The point is to be not definable, I guess.
Yeah, to me, it's like, you know, it's not different than going to a concert or going out dancing or something like that. There's no ST purpose to these things. You know what I mean? They're just kind of like, wee, you know, like that's kind of the NF thing. I don't know. I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out because I think, because some of the stuff is really ridiculous. And I know smart people who do the stuff, and I know they know that it's bullshit, but they have fun with it. So
sure,
probably something to be said for that.
You can have fun with, yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I guess it's the moments when people start pushing it on me and saying, if you don't do this, you're, you know, trash.
There, masculine FE, my masculine FI. That's not going to go well, right? Like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
Right? You don't want that. But there's other types of NFs too. So the one other one I saw was the NEFE sort of thing, where this is more like not necessarily talking about woo stuff, but it's like tribe dynamics with one another, the way the tribe interacts with each other, the way the vibes kind of intermingle and create kind of their own thing. And I noticed this in people with those functions, that they tend to, when they're in a group and they're looking at the vibe, they're kind of looking at more of the interpersonal, how that's going back and forth. With me, when I'm looking at FE, it's more like individually, how is everyone? But I'm not seeing the play in between them. So I feel like that sort of NF is looking at tribe dynamics, I guess, in a way. And then for NIFE, it's more like, it's like, it's blast and it's the vibe, right? So it's like, where can we lead the vibe in a way to where things are very harmonious? Like in an abstract way, right? Not like buying each other birth, or what was the FE thing? The FEs buy each other fruitcakes or something. Not like that, but like,
I mean,
in general,
FE
how can
people
we
have
cultivate
raged
this
against that theory, but
So yeah, so there's more than the hippy dippy stuff, I think, with the NF. It's also just like, in general, what is our society? Where is it going? How does it?
Yeah, I sometimes get that way when I make Facebook. Like every, I don't know, year or a couple of years, depending on what's going on, I will make this long blast on Facebook about how we all need to. And it comes off kind of NF, but it's like we need to fix the NF, and we fix it with the ST, and it does kind of come off, I think, like NIFE. The way we're describing it, at least. So that's interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting to think about. Okay, so I don't completely understand what like NF consume is like when it's that function stuff and it's NF. If I'm thinking about my own consume ST, it's like, okay, I'm taking in how stuff works. Like, okay, this is how this works, this is how this works, this is how this works.
Yeah.
Taking all that in. Is there like something adjacent for NEFI for NF consume? Is there something you're taking in that's in that realm?
I think you're gathering abstract like pathways and stuff. Like I'm looking at other people and being like, oh, that's how that went for you. I hadn't considered that possibility. And like you can watch videos on that sort of thing as well, I guess. It's tricky because like it's masculine any for me, which supposedly that means that I'm going to be more stuck. It's not going to be as, it's going to be more narrow than I think people would expect any to be, because it's like you're pushing one particular one, and it's hard for you to see past it, and that's when I can get stuck, and that's the whole, oh, why somebody says today, well, why didn't you tell me? I didn't know. It's like, well, I could have figured it out. Maybe if there are certain ways I could have tried to figure it out.
Right. Would you say it's kind of like it's looking at all of the like valuable possibilities, like all the different hats you could try on that you think your FI would be into?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So there's Sylvia Plath has a thing about a fig tree where she's looking up at the fig tree, and all the figs are different versions of her life that she could do. She could go, she could pick, and she gets so overwhelmed by all the options that she just sits at the bottom of the tree and starves to death because she can't pick one. She doesn't,
oh man, they even talked about that. Dave and Shannon OP video, but it was something Dallas was talking about, who's like an ENFP, right? And something about there was all these different things he wanted to be or wanted to do or to see himself. And it seemed like, I'm probably gonna butcher it, it's been a while, but it seemed like there was a frustration that he couldn't do all of those.
Yeah.
And he couldn't really just pick one either. So he's just kind of sitting there in a way and not being
if I pick that one, then I can't do this one over here,
Yeah, right. Okay, interesting. Because I think NI works, probably completely different than that, where it's like give me the best one, If you wanted variety in that way, that would be frustrating, wouldn't it? Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
not great.
yeah, I definitely learned some in that stuff there, so that was good. Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting.
Cool.
So yeah, were there any big moments, formative times where you feel like, I mean, you didn't know it was NEFI at that time, but where it was something like, wow, this consume last thing is totally kicking my ass. Were there any like tidal wave things like that when you were young, or any, or not necessarily even necessarily when you were young, something that happened that kind of woke you up?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had like one big moment where I was suddenly
Mhm.
like, oh, this is important. But it's just, you know, like Dave and Shan talk about, it's like cycles, right?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, a lot of the time what happens is I'll just be going about my life and assuming a lot of stuff. And then I will just offhandedly, somebody will finally inform me that certain things are a certain way that I did not expect. And I'm like, I had no idea. Well, if I had known that, then I would, you know, I would have done this thing or this thing. And why didn't anyone tell me? And like, well, we just kind of assumed you would know that. Like, why would you assume that? Um, so yeah, that's and it's like in all sorts of different scenarios. But yeah, that's kind of one of the patterns in my life. Um, I mean, I know that a lot of people don't know, like for instance, when someone likes them, but I was one of those people that didn't ever figure it out, and
Yeah,
like,
I can relate to that. So being ST, I think maybe.
yeah, yeah, like there was a guy in middle school that would always I saw it as making fun of me for being a goody two shoes because he was always like, "Gosh, Grace, quit talking." It's like I'm not talking, like in class, and I'm like, what is his deal? Why won't he leave me alone? Apparently, he liked me. And so, like, he was my first boyfriend. And we dated for like a year, but like, I had no idea. Someone else had to point it out to me that that might be what's actually happening. Yes, I'm not noticing the NF. Like, to me, it just looked like he was being mean. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. How do you know the difference? You know, like that's happened to me before, where like so we're just being a dick. I'm like, what the hell's your problem? You know,
Yeah.
it's like I think she likes you. It's like, what? No, she doesn't. Why is she being a dick then?
Right.
Does not
Exactly.
compute, you know,
Yeah.
because I've know if I like someone, I don't make fun of them, so I can't relate to that. I don't know what that means. I don't know why people do that,
Well,
but
and
apparently it's a
I do think I make fun of people a little bit if I like them because I am an observer, unfortunately. Teasing, but yeah, I'm still double feminine. Don't get me wrong. And like, it has been made clear to me that people don't know when I like them. So,
uh,
I'm glad to be done with dating.
I think I got that feedback too. Yeah, it's just being ST, man. Yeah, it doesn't help. It doesn't
Like, what
really
do you
even
mean? I
help
made it
with
very
dating, does it?
clear.
Yeah. Like, where does ST come in when it comes to dating? Like,
I think we're good at. I think we can be good at like the actual girlfriend thing. Like the I can do ST stuff for you, and wow, that's so nice and very like I wouldn't have thought to do that very particular thing, and thank you. I don't know. That's my
yeah. See, you can because you
that's
have the
blaster.
ST that does it for other people, whereas mine is personal. So it's like so I can't even ST stuff for you. I don't even think to do that. So like I'm basically useless when it comes to dating.
Ah, like so your type. I really like your type for like explaining things well.
Okay, I can see
Like
that.
ironically, NF the rapper, like he just the way
Ah,
he explains stuff is just like yes, you said that so well.
like in his
um,
music, or like when you're watching his interviews, or how do you mean?
in the music, yeah,
Oh, okay.
he,
Mhm.
he's good at. Ironically, he's really good at describing really emotional stuff. Um, so like, and they've talked about that where it's like you want to learn a thing not from someone who has it as a savior, but someone who has it as a demon who's figured it out, right?
Yeah. if it didn't come natural, then you had to learn it,
Yeah.
you know, and having
Like, I
to
don't know
learn
what I'm
something
doing. I'm just
means you
doing
can
it.
explain it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if you're like a really good athlete, but you just, it's all intuitive for you. How are you going to coach somebody with that if it's all intuitive? What do you tell them? Well, you just do it and it's done. Easy.
Yeah, like the people who are naturally muscular and stuff. Yeah.
I just do a couple push-ups every day. If that's all you got to do, it's fine. It's like, I think it takes more than that. No, trust me. You see this?
Yeah, I know, right? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, so let me see here.
There might not be any big moments. If people actually never answer that question or never have big moments, I need to just quit asking. Apparently, that doesn't happen. So, like, I guess if there's a pattern of things that happen in general categories,
I mean, it's just, because abstract is abstract, right? But there are moments where you're like, oh, I didn't realize X was below the surface. Yeah, there's something below the surface. I didn't see it. I try really hard. At least that's how I feel. I try really hard to see it because I'm terrified of not seeing it.
right? Yeah.
But I still fail. So yeah, I won't realize that somebody's mad at me until they tell me they're mad at me, which is why I do sometimes feel like I'm patrolling people's emotions. I'm like, oh, why'd you make that face? Or what's going on? Are you okay? Are you upset with me?
Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah. So like my husband, he's like, I will tell you if there's something going on that you need to know about that, and I'm like, I've had to learn over the years that to trust him with that. Not you can't trust everyone in that way.
That's hard. Yeah, because people will tell you that.
But then it's not true. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's hard to trust that, right? Because it's like, if you miss it a lot, then you get like very gun shy about it, and you don't want to keep missing it.
Yeah.
And so you're like, are you sure you're okay? Because I feel like I'm sensing something, and and like, no, it's there's nothing, it's all good. It's like,
yeah. See that it's confusing me because like you're consumed first, so in theory you should know what the tribe thinks about you. So what is it that you feel like you're missing?
I know. Well, like it's also I'm not like double deciding, so I have no idea how the tribe sees me. If I'm like consuming stuff, it's not like
right.
I'm not consuming myself from over there, sort of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the lack of FE clarity. Yeah.
Yeah, like I might see aspects of them, but I won't see like how they are looking at me, I guess.
Yeah.
That's difficult.
Well, Eric's an IP, so yeah, like the TE, like I have to tell him sometimes, like, hey, you didn't see this, which is funny for me, it's like,
yeah. Look who's not seeing now, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's over the years, he gets better and better at it, but sometimes he just doesn't see things. I'm like, hey, did you notice that, so and so made this face when you said that, so maybe you should stay clear of that topic, or be sensitive about that, because clearly it's something they're sensitive about, and he just won't pick up on it.
I think it's harder when you're lead FI because like it takes like a degree of FE, I think, as well, to be able to like know that somebody made a face or something or whatever, or
yeah, maybe.
And then also, I mean, I'm not lead FI, so I don't know, but like if you're lead FI, I feel like the attitude is that everyone's responsible for their own emotions, so I don't think I really need to just be scanning that all the time because that's their response. Same thing with TI. Like I'm not paying attention to what people think or how they do certain things or whatever. That's not really any of my business, So I'd probably screw up in that area all the time because I don't even realize that people need that or need to. Yeah. So maybe it's a similar thing. I don't know, but I feel like I've seen that from other lead FIs as well.
Yeah, I think as an FI user, like one of the things I finally realized with COVID was like, I would say to people, there are ST things we can do to get through this, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm like making sure that everything works I was worried about the people that were going to get hurt, right? So I'm like, let's make sure it works for them. Whatever we're doing, it needs to work for them, and admittedly, including myself, which was, I think, where people started to have conspiracy theories. It's like, this is just for you. It's like, dang it, no. But what I realized eventually was, I was not considering the feelings in that situation. It's like, just TE, make it work. Like, now is not the time for feelings. And they're like,
Right.
yeah, but I have feelings and I just don't want to do that. It's like, what do you mean you don't want to do that? That's what we have to do right now. And it's like, I just don't value it, you know? Like, your feelings are not important right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, well, like feelings, yeah, we'll deal with those, but maybe we should try to fix this first, and then with that can come.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah, I think that ST vibe, it's like, well, after we've fixed things, then we'll like process and like, oh man, that was hard, and you know. But right now, it's time to work.
Right. And I think it's easier for y'all, or at least the TEs, to kind of like still be able to be functional and do the work despite like having kind of your emotions like doing that. And there's some people, I think, or a lot of people even, I think it's like, for me, I can't. Like, it's hard for me to concentrate or work if my emotions are just, you know, unless it's something desperate. You know, for me, I feel like my brain just shuts down. But I like that TEs can kind of like, fuck it, I feel, however, it's getting done, you know. I think is a cool thing.
Well, yeah, it will eventually catch up with me though, because like,
you can abuse it, right? Yeah, for sure. But
there have been times where like Eric will go out of town for work, and I will find myself making deals with myself about, I don't need to eat, you know, like he's only going to be gone another 24 hours. Like, does a person really? You can survive 24 hours without eating, and there is food in the fridge that has been cooked, and I'm just like, I'm fine. And that started to freak me out a little bit. And so, yeah, it's like that
you don't like
valuing
suffer
checking in with
during that
yourself.
time. You're not like suffering during that time where you're just like, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I'm hungry.
Well, not at first, but then I got hungry and I was still like, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? So yeah, I mean, I think at least I can see it, right? Whereas maybe a sleep last would just like end up passing out and like, yeah, I don't know what happened.
Oh yeah, that could be. Yeah, they have the most ability to just chug through stuff, right? Which is like, I mean, which is a powerful thing. But yeah, if you're doing that all the time, you're just in the red all the time, you know. But I think all of us would like, at least of all of us that are not sleep last, to have a bit of that sometimes. But yeah, it's a double-edged sword, just like any other function set, I guess, right?
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. They've all got their negatives, unfortunately. Yeah. And I just, you know, of course it's fine. I want to figure out the NF, but it feels unfigure outable because it is. You can't grab it. Like, you can't. So what do I do?
You have to do it, you know? I guess you have to actually like do it, right? Like, if it's not figure outable, then maybe it's a thing that has to be experienced rather, you know?
Yeah.
And if you know how NEFI at least is supposed to work.
I'm trying, but you know, the thing about NF friends is they're not very good at ST explaining what it is that it is. Yeah. So it stresses them out to try to explain it. And so yeah, it is a lot like what you're talking about, like, oh well, I want to do this and I want to do this, but I don't feel like I've done enough ST on it yet to really get started. And then they'll like, I wonder if someone will know who I'm talking about. But then it's like, they'll tell me like their whole thing, and I'm like, dude, you are actually ready. And they're like, no, I don't think I am. Like, no, you are. Yeah, it's like a lack of clarity, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, to me, it kind of feels like the NEFI is kind of like what you do naturally as a kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Do you ever pretended to be a ninja when you were like 4 or something like that? Or you just kind of, you're always playing some kind of role or some kind of character, or you're kind of like that. That to me feels kind of like NEFI. you know, like there's different roles there's different hats that you do, different roles. You troll people. Sometimes you're this thing, sometimes you're that. It's almost like in a way, it almost feels like it's acting. And I don't mean that in like a negative way, but in a way where you're trying different like modes somehow. I don't know. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. Shut this thing up.
Yeah, and I have been one of those people that, you know, tries to adjust myself based on what friend I'm hanging out with, which makes birthday parties kind of crazy, and I have to try to like
Yeah.
condense myself to like, okay, I'm all these things at once. Tricky, but yeah. So it's different with everyone. Maybe that's the way I do NF is I'm like, oh, this person needs more this vibe, and this person needs another.
Yeah, it's almost like you're doing the NEFI, but for your like TE in a way. Like it's
it in service of my saviors. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like that. Which I think we're all doing a bit of that, you know. And I think that's like that's the way it has to be at first, I think, you know, like if you take my type, for example, like, you know, the FE kind of goes against your TI, which is your identity, your all that stuff, you know what I mean? And so the first way you get to the FE and you start doing it is you start to feel like it is the logical thing to do. It's like, I've learned this OP stuff. I've realized that things actually work better for me if I do the FE. So now I'm going to start playing like the FE thing. So that's the first thing. You're not really, you are doing FE, but it's not like automatic. It's not necessarily genuine all the time. It's more just like, okay, it makes sense to do this.
Takes effort.
Yeah. But the next level is that you do it just automatically. Like you automatically do these things. You're automatically switching to that decider when it's necessary. You're not like doing it because it makes sense to do. Rather, it's just an immediate pull without necessarily going to your DI first to like allow it to happen. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's like two levels there with like figuring out your demons. The first you kind of pretend, and then I would think after you do that long enough, it does like automatically. But I'm not sure. I'm not at that part yet. But.
Yeah, you practice it long enough that it becomes more natural. Yeah.
I would think, you know.
One hopes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like a robot. And I've realized when I got my type back, I'm like, I do. I relate to all. I love all the robots in all the various movies. You know, Star Wars and WALL-E and what have you. Like, they're all my favorite.
I'm a robot guy myself. I can relate. How do you feel about feeling like a robot? Or does that bother you?
Yeah.
Because you do also like robots, so maybe it's like, hey, we're being robots, not so bad, you know.
I mean, I do. I like it, but I recognize that other people wish I was more in touch with my feelings. They would like to see that side of me, and I feel weird about it, and that creates tribe issues. Not like huge ones or anything, but I recognize that it's like a failing. So. Yeah, and it's awkward, right? Because like using your demons is awkward, and so whenever I'm emoting, I come off awkward, and I don't want to be awkward.
Does
but
it
I
just
don't
feel
know any other
awkward,
way to
or
do
do you
it.
get like that feedback that it was awkward?
I feel awkward. I don't know if I come off that way. You know, maybe like Dave and Shan say you can read the transcript of something and it'll seem like, oh yeah, they're totally fine, but then you watch them say it and it's sounds different.
Right. True. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what it is. Maybe I'm saying all of the right things, but I'm just like, is that right? Is that okay? Well, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets easier though, I think. Like that reminded me of like with FE where it's like, okay, this is the appropriate thing to say, but I don't know. I can't verify that. So I'm just like, hey, sorry to hear that. Is that the right thing to say? And then like you get more of a feel for it. And then the right thing to do or to say for like the emotion management that FE does. I think you're just building kind of like, to put it like in ST terms, you're just building like a database kind of, right? If I just keep doing it, you're formulating what is the thing, and then you get like a real like feel for it, it's just like doing
Experience.
any skill. Yeah. I don't know, you ever like just started with the sport or any skill and you're like, this feels so awkward and foreign, whatever. And then a year later, it's almost like a part of your body. Like it's almost just, it just feels so comfortable and natural to do it. I would imagine it's the same thing with.
Yeah, I have an INTP friend who pointed this out to me, that one of my patterns is feeling anxious about starting learning something, and then eventually I'm doing it enough that it's just naturally in my IJ box because I've been doing it for so long.
Right.
But she's like, if you can just get over that hump, if you can just tell yourself it's gonna feel weird for a while, but eventually it'll get better, then I can make a lot more progress in general.
Right.
And like, I know that on some level, but there are sometimes it freaks me out and I just back out.
I think you all put so much, you go like so deep into stuff and puts like so much effort into the thing that is in your box. I can understand not wanting to like go and try on a bunch of other stuff, because if you're expecting that kind of effort like from yourself,
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to do it either, I think. Yeah.
it's like relationships, right? Like if I'm gonna call you if you're gonna be my significant other, I'm not gonna just like do that halfway. Like, okay, we're serious about this.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. But like with this stuff, it's like, if I'm going to be someone who plays soccer or whatever, then I'm going to do that and like know the stuff. And yeah, and sometimes I'll be like, I don't know that I'm capable of being that good at that thing, and so it's like that I'm just not gonna do it.
But you end up surprising yourself sometimes when you do actually.
Sometimes, yeah. Well, like that's how I am with blast, because I'm like, I'm not good at blasting, surely. And then some people are like, well, yeah, double feminine, it's not going to be very good. But then I'll be on Discord and people be like, no, actually, you make sense,
Yeah.
You seem to blast well. I'm like, I do. Okay.
So yeah, it's like when it's feminine, it's like, just never feels like there's a power behind it, I guess, right? Doesn't it ever feel like it's kind of like, I don't know. It feels like, just
walking blind, essentially. It's
yeah,
like,
right.
I was like, I hope that this is working, but I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah. So do you feel like, since you're like demons are masculine, even though they're your demons, do you sometimes feel more confidence like in that area? Or I know we were kind of still both confused on the NF a bit. So I don't know if that question's answerable, but yeah.
So I'll be confused on my feelings up to a point, but there are certain things that I'm like, okay, you just don't do that. I'll have lines in the sand that my other more, feminine feeling friends or just low feeling friends will be like, well, maybe that's fine. Like EJ friends.
Yeah.
Like, so I have realized from talking to them that I feel a little better about it than they do. So yeah, because I've had experiences with friends where I'll be like, I mean, I get how you got here, but I don't understand why you're still okay with the situation, because the situation will get worse, whatever it is. And I'm like, no, like back out. Like this isn't okay. So yeah, I guess that's the benefit of the masculine aspect of it, is like it's a warning system eventually. Like I do have a shield you can hit. It's pretty far in there or something.
But it comes out when you need it, it sounds like.
In the worst scenarios, it will show up for sure. But it will it's kind of like a everything's gonna burn at this point, like if you hit my FI to the point of offending it, then things are gonna be rough. But it takes a lot,
And there won't be any guessing of whether you're offended or not. Like it's
not
clear.
At that point.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you feel like at that point using your DI, it's just like automatic, it's easy?
Yeah. But like one of the negatives of being double feminine in that situation is like people associate you with being, super nice all the time, and like movable, you know, and then suddenly sometimes I'll be like, no. And they're like, where is this coming from? You know,
Mhm.
and I'm like, this is not cool, you know,
It's like,
like,
wait, I can say no too. Okay, just gotta say it a lot. Doesn't mean I
yeah,
can.
like I had a guy cheat on me, and when I found out, I immediately texted him like, we're done, and
See
he
ya.
was very irritated that I just blanketly said we were done. I'm like,
Wait,
what
why?
do you? No, we're not. No, this is
Did you just
not
'cause I cheated
happening.
on you? What?
And
Oh my
he
god.
tried to flip it around like he was the victim. I'm like, what
Oh
is
god.
happening?
Well,
I'm like,
sound
what
like you
the
made the right decision. That's how you reacted to it. Well,
It was such a bad relationship. So
yeah,
bad. But that like I'm saying, I was really feminine until I wasn't, and I'm like, nope. Like, it had not been good for me, but for some reason I hadn't listened to my gut. Like that's a lot, I think, of the NF problems I have is
right,
turns out my gut actually does work pretty well. I just don't trust it.
right.
Um, and if I did, I would avoid stuff that after the fact I'm like, yeah, okay, I should have. When that happened, that was the sign that I just wasn't willing to accept. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, even NF problems, I can definitely relate.
Yeah.
Yeah. The could you say the same with your masculine NE that at some point it comes out like the masculine FI, like masculine FI when a boundary's been crossed too much, it comes out. You feel like is there like a moment that it's the same for NE or not so much?
Yeah, I think I butt heads with other like intuitives who are like really confident about the intuition, and
Yeah.
I will get stuck on and be like, this is the thing that's going to happen, and I'm freaked out about it because it's a demon. And they're
Mhm.
like they disagree, and then I'm like, oh no. uh yeah, that can cause issues, I think. And but maybe these people are actually also demon intuition and we're just like both freaking out. Yeah, I think it's, you know, the shoviness, right, of the pattern. It's like I get convinced a certain thing is going to happen or is a certain way or you hate me, you know, that sort of thing. Um so that's tricky. Uh yeah.
Do you feel like it's usually right when you do like are kind of banking on it or
Um I think my FI is more often right than my NE
Mhm.
is, though. You know, it's all connected, right? So I don't know. It's um, I think I think I try to ST it, and that's where that's where I end up wrong is the details of what's going to happen from the gut feeling. So it's like I'll
Mhm.
be right about the gut feeling, but then I'll make decisions based off that maybe like that's not the point, you know. I try to ST the gut feeling. It's like, okay, so we need to do all of these things. It's like, okay, maybe we didn't
Yeah.
need to do all of those ST things, but I was still technically right about the gut feeling. I just, you know, IJ wanted certainty that this thing was not going to blow up like I was worried it was going to.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, then people, I can get accused of over preparing or, you know, and it's true. But personally, I'd rather be the annoying, overprepared person than the person who got hurt. You know, like with COVID, that was me. I was going to be more careful, and I had friends that weren't as careful, and some of them, they got hurt by that. And they, 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 they think that was the right decision for them, but it would never be my strategy.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like it's better safe than sorry, I
Yeah,
guess. I
I
mean,
don't
but
like risk just in
yeah,
general.
I think I feel like at least I'm seeing this kind of in my father a bit, but it's like it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way where you can be so safe it actually ends up hurting you in a way. You know,
Yeah.
end up building like this sort of a box around yourself and then kind of squeezes the life out of things sometimes. Not to say that you're doing that, but I've definitely
Well,
seen IJs go down that route
I
when they
could
get way older usually, and then it's kind of like Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's good to like have, Eric, my husband,
Yeah, I can imagine,
because
right? Yeah. He
yeah,
keeps you balanced.
there were moments where I was like, no, we got to keep washing groceries, and he's like, I don't think we do, and thankfully he's a sensor, and he was like, he explained it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, yeah, you're right. And like going out to eat, it's like all of our, everyone we know, even the most careful of our friends have gone out to eat and it hasn't affected them.
Mhm.
Going out, like eating outside and stuff. And so I was able to, over time, like I think that's a good thing about ST is like, if you see the data, eventually you'll be like, yeah, okay, that's, I can't argue with the data.
Right.
But I guess you got to hope that you find the right data, right?
Yeah. Or
So,
that, yeah, you're seeing all of it or seeing, the right data. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or even sometimes data, like if can be, you can draw the wrong conclusions off of it too,
For sure. Yeah.
which happens. Yeah. But yeah, it makes sense. I mean, yeah, you feel like you can trust the ST because it, I guess, technically is the most objective like thing,
It
But then,
feels that way.
yeah,
Yeah.
then you have to draw the right conclusion from something that's objective, which you might not. Like I what book was this? It's like one of those Malcolm Gladwell books, and they were talking about like I read this like 20 years ago, so I don't really remember it that well. But the thing that I thought was interesting was the concept was sometimes you don't need so much data, and actually more data can mess you up. And so like the example he gave was really cool because it was like they made this like heart attack detection system or something like that, or heart disease or something like that. And they took in as many symptoms as they could, many things about the person, and factored all of that in and gave like a percentage of like, okay, does this person need help? And they found the machine got less accurate with more information, basically. And there were
Wow.
actually just a few indicators that if it just paid attention to that is actually more accurate. Now that actually makes like I feel dumb explaining it now because like wait, that's actually really obvious. Like if I take in somebody's favorite color when I'm trying to determine if they have a heart attack, it's probably going to fuck up the probability, right? And they were taking in data that was kind of related to their health, but not
really
really
related. I see.
heart attack.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so it's like even though ST is the most objective, yeah, it can somehow steer you wrong. I think
Mm-hmm.
You ever find that in typing? You take in too much S, and then you're like, actually, I don't know what the fuck they are now.
Yeah. Often what happens is I will have the right type or close to it, for a beginner. And then I'll watch more and change my mind. And then I'll see that like, oh no, I had it. And then,
Yeah.
frustrating.
It's like you get so much information that like you could see them being anything because you have an example for all of it.
Yeah.
And like at least with NI, I can't find the common denominator because it's hard for me to aggregate it in a way where it's okay. What's the thing they're doing the most though? So, I don't know.
Yeah, I really want to get better at the whole like Dave says you should be able to pause it and guess kind of what they're gonna say, right? I'm not good at that
Right.
yet.
Yeah. I can't really do that either.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
But
comes to
like
practice, maybe, I guess.
yeah. The way I describe intuition has been like zooming out. I'm bad at zooming out. Like I can see what's right there, but like I gotta learn how to see the bigger picture. I always thought I was good at the bigger picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you are masculine big picture, so maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Yeah. That's a struggle. I definitely can understand that. So how do you feel like how long have you been with OP, by the way? Has it been a while or?
I started watching videos February of last year.
Okay.
And then I just I did like I did the 3 months and just wait, and then submitted as soon as I could in like July, and then I got my type back in August, and
Okay.
yeah.
August of 2022 or 2021?
Yes, 2022.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. So it actually hasn't been like a super long time actually.
Yeah, I've been like speed running, trying,
Yeah.
It became an obsession,
Yeah.
It's just like fascinating the way you can, as a sensor, see it in reality when like they show people who are similar types and like they look alike. I'm like, that is amazing to me.
Right. Yeah.
The practicality, the usefulness that could be behind, if you can really start to see that in real life, that could be just unbelievably useful. At least that's how I feel about it. But I know Dave is like, oh yeah, I just see it and it's not, whatever now. But
It's a bit eerie. Sometimes they'll have the same voice too, like literally the same tone of voice. And if you'll hear them and not see them, you'll think they're somebody else. You're like, oh, that's happened on Discord a couple times where people like they weren't typed yet. But every time they get on, I'm like, oh, they sound like just like this guy, or they sound just like. And then, fair enough, they get typed, and they are that.
Yeah,
that type. It's so crazy.
Yeah, there's a girl I talked to on Discord that I felt like we talked similarly, but she was a different animal stack than me, and I'm like, you seem so much like me. Like I don't really understand. And she got retyped, and now we're much more similar animal stacks.
Okay.
So like just one off, and I'm like, aha! See, I knew she was blast sleep, like, but they thought she was blast play, and I was like, okay. So I've noticed that twice with the retypings before they got retyped. I'm like, I don't think you're blast play. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
They're not being a crackhead. They're not talking enough. I mean, I know it's not just talking, but it's just like if I compare them to me, like I was talking more than them. I was pinging more, and sometimes, and that shouldn't make sense. So I don't have variables, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's like a good way to do it too. I think, right? Like to ping the person off of you. Like I think Shan recommended that too, where it's like, okay, is this person more this than me or less than me? Then kind of. It's like much easier to type people when you have your own type. That it feels like.
So you gotta have someone in reality. I think to really make it real to you. At least that's how I feel.
Right.
Yeah, because it felt like like on a graph, like my plotting was totally off. It needed to shift, over here, and so when I got my type back, I'm like, oh, okay, So my typing got better, yeah, and like when Eric got typed too, it got better because I kept getting ESFPs wrong every time.
Okay.
Because I wasn't seeing him though. I was seeing him as like an STJ, sort of like that's how he'd come out on the 16 personalities all the time. I think it's the double masculine vibes.
Could be, yeah.
And yeah, so once he got typed, I'm like, oh, that's okay. SE is like this, so helpful. And yeah, with mom, understanding TI better, understanding FE better. Yeah, it's just, you can triangulate over time, but I don't think it's like a cheat or anything. I'm still not like great at it, but it has helped, I think.
For sure. Yeah. It takes a long time. I mean, I've been at it for like 4 years now. Still not amazing at it. Maybe one day. Yeah. Got to put in your hours, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, I mean, you haven't been here for a super long time, but do you feel like OP's helped you, or how would you say it's helped you if it has?
Yeah, I mean, it's helped me realize that like I said, my gut is better than I thought. Like I had feelings about what was going on with my mom, but like you're talking about, I had too much data, and so I would start to doubt and shift in the other direction. But my original, like my core thoughts about what she was like ended up being right. But of course she doesn't want to come off that way, right? She wants to be different. And so she's my whole life been telling me this is who I am, right? And so I have to somehow not believe her in a way, right?
Yeah.
And same with Eric. Like Eric's like, yeah, I'm such an EJ. I'm always worried about the tribe, and he is, but as an IP, right?
Yeah, I know. It's
you look triggered.
Not triggered, but I feel like it's just hilarious when IP say things like that. Because it's like, if you watch them, and myself included, man, we don't give a shit. I mean, we do give a shit, but not like EJs give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, EJs are terrified, as Shan put it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're terrified, and I am
yeah,
starting to get that from talking to some of them. And I feel so bad for them because like I know I feel freaked out, but they feel more freaked out than me. Like
yeah,
their heart rate goes up, right, in a way that mine doesn't.
yeah.
Um,
Can imagine.
yeah. Like Eric wants, like he wants the best for people. Like he's always trying to, he wants them all to be their best DI selves, right?
Oh, okay.
Um,
Hmm.
so he pushes on the tribe to try to get like one of my friends in college. He was always trying to get her out of her shell. She was very quiet, um, and he succeeded. It took a while, and it's not like she became an extrovert or anything, but she was talking more to people and everything. So he's really good at that sort of stuff with people. It's nice. Um, but I mean, he just worked on himself a lot over the years. I think he dealt with a lot of his stuff like in high school. And, it gave him a bit of a leg up. And like when I met him, he had just had a tidal wave and he was like shifting, and so people try to like be like, oh, don't date Eric. I'm like, he's fine. What are you talking about? But
Well,
some of it was the
yeah.
girls. Some of the girls wanted to have him like on the bench, in
Ah.
case they wanted to ever. I didn't know that. I just shown up. I didn't know the the vibes of
Did
everything.
y'all meet
Yeah,
in high
it was
school, or were y'all young? Or
college.
oh, okay,
It was
okay.
like so mean girls. Like I sat down at the girl table and they were like, I laughed at something Eric said off in the distance, and they're like, oh, you don't want to date him. I'm like I'll date who I want. Like,
Like, wait, why shouldn't I date him? Just trust me.
no, that's what she said. That's what she said.
That's when you
And
know
and
they're
then
lying,
all the
right?
girls around her nodded. I'm like,
Mm-hmm,
what is
mm-hmm. Yeah,
this?
stay away from him. He's so bad news. You don't want to.
It's so funny. And I found out that the girl who said that was like Eric's growing up, and they had
Ah,
this whole thing of like, yeah, she just kept him on the sidelines, backup plan.
what a weird thing that is. Huh?
That's not a great move. I don't like that.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So she was annoyed that it's like, oh yeah, no, nope, he's gonna move on now. You had like 10 years, okay? You could have
You had your chance.
at any time you could have gone ahead, but she didn't.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to be somebody's bench choice, right?
No,
Yeah.
no. Mm-mm. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Girl
What did
drama.
I even ask you? Do you remember? Oh yeah, how has OP helped you?
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think it gives me words to describe things to people that I didn't have before. Oh yeah. So the main thing I think it's done is give me a little more confidence, ironically, in my saviors. And like
Okay. Yeah.
it's weird because like I know like Dave and Chan are always saying, don't worry about your saviors, but I feel like I was not using them as much as maybe I should. Like it's like I don't know, it's weird. So now I'm like, oh, okay, I am more naturally good at this stuff. So it's like it gave me DE permission to use them, and like finally be like, I can do this and I can do it effectively and it's going to be fine. And so that's been good for me, and it just helped me like recalculate, and like understand reality better.
Yeah.
um I've always thought I was good at reading people, but like the difference between saviors and demons, I've realized I just take people at their word a lot. So if
Yeah.
somebody's
Right. Yeah.
talking like they're an intuitive, I believe they're an intuitive.
Yeah.
um
Otherwise, why wouldn't they? Why would they say it?
Yeah, and I've had to be like, oh, okay. So I'm trying to learn to like, I thought I saw people's faces, but I don't know. It's weird. So I'm getting better at that, I think. So yeah, it's given me a lot more confidence in a lot of different areas. But I'm still trying to, plan out what to actually do with all this information. That's always the problem. It's like I can know a lot of stuff, but actually applying everything is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah. It's also helped me in that I have people to talk to that like personality stuff, and most of
Yeah.
my real life friends aren't into it. So
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
it's nice to have people that have the same interests as you.
Yeah. You get to talk about it with people, and
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, that's how a lot of us are learning, just from kind of bouncing. I mean, that's why we're doing the channel, I guess, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, I think, what they've done and what they've come up with, and how it's like turned into a community even, and people are like getting married and dating each other and stuff from it, and we're having these global meetups, and like it's kind of cool how it's like just kind of self-building into something,
Yeah.
all just from a personality system, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's I mean, and there's always going to be issues in any group, right? But
Yeah.
I think you're more likely to have a better experience if the group of people are looking for answers in general. Like
Yeah.
you're going to be more willing to shift or change your mind if that's why you're there to begin with.
Yeah.
I
And
feel like
like
that
we're
can
all
make for
there
a better
to
environment.
understand, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think it helps that you're in a community that, I know your type. So it's like, if you do something and I know your type, then it's easier for me to be like, well, they're this type, so they're seeing it this way. So that, it's easier it lessens conflict to a degree, I guess, except for when people use your type against you, and kind of like, I wonder if you've experienced this. Probably not, but I know a lot of consume last have been getting frustrated, at least in the Discord, with like people being like, "Oh, you're consume last. You didn't consume enough, or whatever." Like that gets thrown out a lot, and I feel like that can be pretty insulting for the most part. And I feel like that's definitely bad. Has that been happening? It's kind of a tangent here. Has that happened to you in the Discord at all, or is that just a couple people that are experiencing that?
I don't think so, but I think also as an observer, I brush off a lot of stuff maybe
Mhm.
that maybe other people aren't brushing off. But I don't think anyone's called me out for being consumed last, at least not in like a serious way.
That's good.
And like I know I'm a consume last, and I find it funny now. Being married to someone who's consumed first also has really made it super clear.
Yeah.
He literally picks up books 20 times more than I do.
Yeah.
And I realize that I essentially use him as Google a lot of the time, because I know if I put out a question, he will pick up his phone and look it up.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's an addiction. You just stupid stuff. Like
yeah,
the other
right.
day, I think I was talking to someone about a country or something. It's like Azerbaijan, and I was like, "What's the capital of Azerbaijan?" It's like, I have to look. Who the fuck cares what the capital is? Like, oh, it's Baku. Okay. Anyway, back to our conversation.
My cousin actually is from Azerbaijan.
Oh,
My
okay.
mom's cousin adopted her, so I happen
Ah,
to know.
so you already knew that, and you didn't even need to look at that. Okay.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is like, okay, like being an IJ consume last, like, yeah, we don't know some stuff, but also if it's in our box, we tend to know stuff about it, because
Yeah.
we're super interested in it. And so I think that can be confusing maybe to some people, because like we will know a lot about some topics.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just trying to make my IJ box as big as possible, I think, is like the best strategy. The bigger the box is, the more stuff I'll know, and that'll be better for me long term. um,
I actually don't think like consume first have more information than consume last. I think it's just more of like a breadth-wise sort of information, whereas like the IJs are more like, you know what
right.
I mean? But all in
Yeah.
all, I think we probably both have the same amount of data we're working with. One is just choosing to very down deep into one thing, whereas the others are a little bit of everything, you know?
Maybe, yeah, but like I'm always amazed now when I ask Eric if he knows about something. He does tend to. I'm amazed how often he does. Like I'm like, how do you know about that? He's like, oh, I just read a thing about it once. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, he's also masculine SC too, which probably
yeah,
helps. Yeah.
yeah.
So you remember all that stuff. Yeah.
He loves knowing stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't feel too bad about the consume less thing. The thing I feel more bad about is being called a douchebag.
Oh yeah, the blast sleep. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, as a blast sleep. It's like I don't like it. It feels unfair.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem to suit your personality, does it? Douchebag.
Thanks. Like I get it. I can be a douchebag, but so can everybody, you
Yeah.
know? So like we all have those moments, but I don't think like on a day-to-day basis that the way people interact with me, they think, oh, that's like who I am. An easy way to tell me apart from other people. I
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So the douchebag thing? I don't think I know many blast sleeps that I would say are douchebag. Well, there's a couple of people on YouTube that are like douchebag. But like sleep blast though, I've seen a couple to be honest, but
I think they're okay with it though, right? You know?
that's what makes it more douchebaggery, right? When you're just unapologetic, like, yeah, so what? What you can do about it? You know, like that's but I don't get it from I've never gotten that vibe from an SITE, SIFE, NIFE, NITE. I've seen it, if I'm being honest, but this is good for all of it, I would say. And even if you are like an IJ, yeah, you're not like automatically douchebag. And there's plenty of IP douchebags. I mean, we're technically savior douchebag, right? Isn't that what we're supposed to, like? So.
Selfish jerk. Savior.
There you go, selfish jerk. Yeah, something in that area.
I don't remember what the IJ one is for that. Like EJ is desperate idiot, chaos monkey, and what? I don't remember.
I don't remember either, actually. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I can tell you.
Oh, hey, I wrote down what's. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, OP has helped me. Yeah, validity to my saviors. Oh, observer decider. That's another one. I think that's really helpful in life. Because like as an observer, and it's funny because I get upset with observer jokes sometimes too.
Okay.
But I think I don't know that like Kendrick says that my type is like an IJ, but also has IP stuff and also EJ stuff based off of how my stack is and everything.
In theory, yes.
In theory, yeah. See, I don't know, but there have been times, I think probably with EJs specifically, maybe that I've said something totally joking and it felt very chill and not like I didn't feel like I was taking a risk with the joke, and then I'll get a reaction. I'm like, whoa, like I was not trying to make you upset, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Like hit on some kind of insecurity somewhere, and
yeah, like even with Eric, I will joke that he wasn't good at something in a way that I wouldn't think that would be a big deal, but then he has told me now we have words for it. He's like, yeah, that's a decider thing for me. I'm like, oh, okay. So he doesn't want me to talk negatively about him in front of people, and I generally don't, but like a joke about it, it's like, oh yeah, Eric did this dumb thing earlier today. He doesn't want me to tell anybody that.
Right. Yeah. I guess it's kind of an IP thing, right? Yeah, I can get that, but that's a nice way for him to respond to it, like, oh, it's a decider thing, you know.
Yeah, because I've been trying to, ask him, like, when do you have, what are your decider freakouts? Like, what is it? Because I want to know. So that was one that he finally was like, okay, that's one. Like, oh, okay, well then, yeah, then I won't do that. I didn't know that bothered him. Like, why would that bother him?
Yeah, I think some stuff can seem a lot more embarrassing for us than you might think.
Right.
And yeah,
knowing that like half of the people out there are that way makes me be like, okay, I'll just be a little more careful then. I didn't realize that. So I feel sensitive, so I assume
yeah.
I'm the most sensitive, but I'm not,
No.
apparently.
Yeah. But yeah, and then but some stuff it's like, yeah, it's not even what you said was necessarily mean. Like on a FE spectrum, like this is appropriate what you said, but it happened to hit right on something that
Yeah,
I feel
he
insecure
felt
about.
insecure about it and I didn't know or something. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because you're like, well, if somebody said that about me and it were true, like I wouldn't care. So you don't know that like it's gonna be that way for somebody else, I guess, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
yeah. FE's a struggle.
Oh, and like sometimes I will ST correct what happened when Eric is telling a story. He's trying to make himself look a little bit
little bit too
not
good.
that it's like on purpose making himself look better, but he's not purposefully going to like worry about the ST clarity of what happened.
It's
And I'm
an
like,
SE
oh, but
thing.
that's not what happened.
It's an SE thing as well, I think. I do that also, where you kind of like you're telling a story, you exaggerate stuff, or you don't really care about the accuracy of some of the details because they're just details. But you're trying to like make the story a little bit more interesting to listen to. It might not be that you're trying to like lie to somebody about it or make it a different
Yeah, no.
story, but you kind of glitz it up a bit.
Yeah,
And so
it's more to be
sometimes I
like,
think when you have an SI, it can be like, hey, wait a sec. There were 5 people there, not 20.
yeah, he leaves out details and stuff. And I'm like, oh, but you didn't mention this part. And he's like, I
Yeah.
wasn't going to mention that part.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Noticing that I am a ST, like, oh my gosh. One of my friends, she threw up at lunch one time and it was, we were all very like, oh no. But then while she was like getting cleaned up and everything, I felt this need to like sleep and blast process what just happened. And
Wait,
so
she
my
just threw
brain,
up in front of you during lunch one time?
yeah, she
Oh my
like,
god.
it
That
was
would be
sad. She, wasn't feeling well, right? But then
oh,
my
wow.
brain was like trying to like, oh yeah, and I wanted to like explain what happened over and over again. And I'm like getting nauseous. I don't want to explain like what's wrong with my
Right, yeah.
brain. Like, no, I don't want to rehash this. What? No.
Can we just pretend this didn't happen? Okay, we move on.
Yeah, and Eric's looking at me like, why are you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna sit here and not talk because apparently I can't. Just shake it off.
Right. Oh man. We channel change a lot, especially for someone who's not in theory a channel changer. That's,
Well, I know. I always
even
felt
like
like I
losing where we
was
started.
a channel changer. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Got the next one for you. And I won't skip the spirit animal one. I got it still here. That's
Okay.
next. So now what are you doing to work on yourself or to work on your demons? If you are, what's the plan?
Yeah. I got back into counseling again. Prioritizing myself. That's a way of prioritizing, bettering myself, caring about myself. Like I like self betterment in general, but
Mhm.
that's more for the sake of the tribe than for me.
Okay.
So like the things that are for me and don't really affect other people, that's what I'm trying to tell myself to give more validity to that.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get better at prioritization because that's like a NF sort of thing that like I just do what's in front of me sometimes, and then Eric will be like, okay, but why didn't you, this is the thing that needed to get done today and that hasn't happened. And I'm like, yeah, I should have done that, huh? Like I did stuff, but was it the most valuable use of my time? Sometimes not.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So that's one. Um, I try. I feel like I've always done this, but now I'm doing even more. I try to get out of my IJ box, and when I feel that desire to not consume something because it's not in my box, I try to like use that as a warning signal and actually consume that thing.
Right.
And like, that's the thing, is you learn from that experience. Oh, actually that was good. And there have been times now where I've said to Eric, thank you for forcing me to consume.
Yeah.
It's been good for me.
Sometimes when you consume stuff, there's actually parts of it that fit in your box too, right? Like there's commonalities in the thing you're consuming. Sometimes. Like even if you're just gonna watch some bullshit dating show, you can totally fit that into OP, right? Okay, this person, I think it's this and this. Like there's actually, I think maybe always a way to put it in your box in a way, or maybe that's just an NI way to see it, where you're just like, there's always stuff that's gonna have some information that's useful for the stuff you're looking at. I think. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just get this idea in my head, that it won't be useful, or it will be annoying, or it's not as good as something else that I could be doing or watching.
Right.
What's the point? Yeah. So there's that. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of what I'm doing currently is trying to have an actual foundation for myself that's not, because like I have a life, but is it actually built off what I value and want? To
Yeah.
some extent, yes, but also no. If you ask me what's my favorite X, a lot of the time I won't have an answer for you. So
What's
just
your
trying to
favorite what?
Whatever, like
Oh,
movie.
X is like it's the variable X. Okay, I got it.
Yes. Yeah. So just trying to like actually notice what makes me feel happier, what makes me feel less happy. These are not things that I normally feel necessary to pay attention to. And I know this sounds crazy as like a sleep savior. But I think, at least for me, sleep has been more like processing what's already happened. It's not like I'm not planning with it for the future so much. I mean, I guess I use it in even my sleep is being used for my blast, essentially. So, I think I can get there, but it's just, I just have to reprioritize things. Um, it just feels like I do stuff and I don't have a plan so much. It's just, so trying to build a foundation to build off of. I think that will, in the long run, be better, right? I know it's like, this is not like surprising stuff, but let's see, what else? Oh, I am making a concerted effort now to, when I get an observer issue, to just try and push through it. Like, my car has been out of registration for a while, so I'm just gonna like do it. Like, I've been making appointments for all of our vehicles that have needed stuff, and yeah, I'm not a printer freak out observer. I don't know if I'm freaking out about my car, but I don't enjoy it. It's money that ends up having to be spent, and you don't know whether people are going to be honest with you about what the price is for things.
All that stuff, yeah.
A lot of different stuff can happen. Like, my horn on my car wasn't working, and I took it in. They're like, "Well, it's working for us." I'm like, but it didn't pass inspection because the horn wasn't working. So what am I supposed to do? I'm like, okay, well then just inspect it so I can move on. And they're like, okay, now it's not working. I'm like, well.
It's like, did you even check it? Oh man.
Yeah.
So like, I told you about my dad being SI and maybe ISTJ. That's the biggest thing that he rages about is the damn, well, that and the doctors. He thinks the doctors are all trying to screw him and stuff. You can't trust him. Oh,
sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't know my phone wasn't on silent.
Oh wait, you have to go actually in a few minutes.
Oh yeah, in a second.
Ah shit. Sorry.
I don't have to move at all. Like, so.
Yeah, I know. We have your video, but I don't want you to be late for that. All right, so we'll cut that and let's just say spirit animal, go.
Okay. Where is that? I said, I think that's.
Oh, by the way, for people watching, if you don't know what question I just asked, the question is, what is the spirit animal of your last function? And kind of
Yeah.
animal.
Okay. So I decided a shaking nervous chihuahua.
That's the
Like,
NE. Okay.
yeah, like so I actually like chihuahuas. I grew up with them, but you know, the ones that are freaked out, like they're really sweet, but then, you know, if it's freaking out, it might snap at you. That's how I
Ah,
feel. It's like
okay.
I'm in the corner freaking out. It's like if you push me, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
It's like I may look scared, but I will bite you. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah. I thought that's funny.
Okay. Yeah, that's a yeah, that's a funny yeah, funny image to think about.
Yeah, I think my animal stack is the raccoon.
Hmm.
People decided that they
That's
did
what
a bunch of animals for all of them, all the animal stacks.
Rose said her any spirit animal was actually. So she's any last.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like getting into things and being curious and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's funny that was picked for that too. She actually started that question, by the way. Actually, she was the first one. She asked me that, I think, and then I
Oh,
was like, I should just ask this every
what
time.
did you say?
I said it was a rabbit for FE last. So it's like it's kind of sweet, cute, but it's very skittish. And you know, I
Yeah,
guess like the Chihuahua actually.
yeah, yeah. Skittish for sure.
But it won't bite. I guess that's the only difference.
Yeah, but you can befriend the Chihuahua,
It's true,
and
yeah.
it'll
Especially if
calm
you have treats.
down.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, let me just check real quick. I maybe we only have like one question or something. Let me just blah, 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 you should- Oh, there you go. How are your ST different? How is your ST? How was our STs? How was what are the differences between our ST? I can't grammatic
uh,
that.
versus TISE versus SITE.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the TI versus TE is easier for me to see. But yeah, I think I already talked about that. It's like
Mhm.
like the TI is like narrowed, and it doesn't matter the spectrum of what works. Like if it's working for you, you're happy, and
Right.
if it's not, then you're gonna try to figure it out yourself. You know. So there's that. SE versus SI. Um, it's hard. That one's harder to see the difference. I think it is like the whole narrow. It's just more narrow. It's like I am looking at this one thing over here and this other one thing. Like Eric being SE second.
Mhm.
I don't think he notices his environment as much as I do. Notice mine. Um, it just doesn't bother him as much. Like I get, like they say, SI people are protective about their sensory, right?
Mhm.
Because it's internal to them. It's personal or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I like my environment to be as comfortable as possible for me and everyone else.
Yeah. It's like the quote, like, was it clean home, clean mind or something like that? I feel like an
Oh,
SI
I definitely identify with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like that was one of the things about getting my type back. I'm like, oh, it is okay to be Martha Stewart. That's closer to what, like, I've always felt guilty about that. I mean, like, as a millennial, being a girl that's that way is just not what's currently the thing to be, you know? It's supposed to be a girl boss. But
I'll just wait a few years. It'll be cool again. You know, it always cycles out.
yeah. But you know, people do appreciate that side of me when they come over to our house. They always feel like it's relaxing and chill and nice, you know. So there's some good parts to it. Um, yeah. I don't. I think y'all probably have more confidence if we're talking about you versus me, like your type. I that's one of the things I admire about your type is it seems like y'all are more confident, and I wish I was that way.
Like confident with ST stuff, or
just like in general, but it may just be, I don't know. And I'm sure you don't feel super confident, but comparatively, I find it admirable. It's like, I wish, and so, yeah, it's, I guess when I say confidence, it's like, yeah, this is my ST, and too bad if you don't like it, right?
yeah,
I'm not that way. I'm like, this is my ST, and I think this is good, but if you have a better idea, then please tell me.
right, yeah.
So I'm sure it's nice to just, do what you think you ought to do.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's like I guess it comes off like confidence. It's not really confidence so much, more that like you have to. You got no choice, It feels like that. And just that function is just so overloaded or so built up. All the other signals that fight that are just dimmed down so much, where it's like, listen, I got a TI. It's not about confidence. I just want to do that. I don't want to do this other stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I guess it comes off.
It's just simple to you.
It's an addiction, is what it is. It's not. But anyway, it is. All right, am I making it late? Because I think it's already time now.
Yeah,
is it 3? You have to go? Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna go, everyone. Gracie, thank you so much for coming on. It was a great conversation. Hope y'all got something out of it, and we'll see you next time for episode 27. Bye.
Bye.